Hello everyone, it's George from Ireland. So here I am commenting on the reshuffle of the UK cabinet, which happened just this afternoon. So the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, he's moved some people up, down, in and out. Not the same person being moved in all four directions, by the way. So is there any point to reconfiguration of the cabinet? Well, every Prime Minister seems to periodically believe that it is worthwhile. So Christopher Heaton Harris, I remember when I first met him in '99 when he was a member of the European Parliament. He's the chief whip, as in he's in charge of the party's discipline, keeper of the party's conscience, trying to get them to vote the way that the leader wants. Giving you a one-line whip, requesting that you vote for your party, a two-line whip, well, more strongly requesting it, and a three-line whip, as in mandating it. And if you don't, you get the whip withdrawn. You no longer remember the parliamentary party, but you're not actually expelled from the mass membership party. Now, Corbyn's in that situation within Labour, but he's been an independent MP for some months. Anyway, so Hayden Harris is facing an increasingly challenging job. It's very testing because, of course, several MPs have come out against Boris Johnson. There's at least 9, last time I counted, have gone public saying Johnson must resign as Prime Minister. We've got no confidence in him anymore. Now, I have a Downing Street source. Better not say who he or she is. We use the gender-neutral term they, I suppose, even in the singular, saying that actually it's 38 letters have gone to Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of the 1922 committee, saying that there ought to be a leadership vote, well, a vote of confidence in the leader, or probably a vote of no confidence. They want him out as leader. So I don't know if that's accurate or not. It's 38 such letters. So Graham Brady is keeping his cards close to his chest. He refuses to reveal how many it is. He said some. To my mind, that's implicitly saying more than one. So we know that it's at least one, but it's under 54. If there was 54, we'd have that leadership vote now. Anyway, so Mark Spencer, he's now leader of the House of Commons. Now, the Honourable Jacob Rees-Mogg, who's, of course, who's someone who I think didn't quite overlap with Johnson at Eton, because Johnson's born in '64 and Jacob Rees-Mogg in '69. He's got a new position. Now, I know someone who's known Rees-Mogg since Rees-Mogg was 7 and said Jacob Rees-Mogg has never changed, apart from maturing slightly. And you can see footage of Rees-Mogg when he was 11, and he was famous and perhaps infamous for buying shares when he was little, going to shareholders' meetings and wanting to get filthy rich. And he's acquired a lot of filthy lucre. We'll know it with his brood of about 7 children, mostly going to that Hill House school. You see them in those distinctive knickerbockers. So the Nusrat Ghani saga continues. This Muslim MP for the Conservative Party who claims that she was demoted because of her anti-Muslim prejudice. So there's a new Paymaster General, Michael Ellis. Steve Barclay, he was given a new role as Chief of Staff a few days ago, which is quite contentious. Some people say he can't possibly fulfil this role, as well as performing his other duties, because he's in the Cabinet Office. So it's all quite tricky. So Rees-Mogg has now got more of an economic role. Stuart Andrew, he's now no longer the Deputy Chief Whip. He's a housing minister. There have been 11 housing ministers in 10 years. Sometimes I think it's pointless. Why don't you just leave this person in situ? Because a full parliament is 5 years. I know they seldom last that long. They almost never leave someone in office. Like Gordon Brown, he was Chancellor of Exchequer for 10 years. I think I'm right in saying the longest serving Chancellor of Exchequer in history. So James Cleverly, he's now Minister in the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. He's Minister for Europe, because remember, there's a Secretary of State who's a Cabinet Minister, and below him or her, there are 3 or 4 junior ministers, a Minister of State. Secretary of State is above, below is a Minister of State. So, and it's very obvious in the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, there'll be a Minister for Europe, a Minister for Africa, a Minister for the American continent, a Minister for Asia. I think, is it just the 4? I don't know where Australasia is counted. And in the Department of Education, there'll be a Minister for Primary Schools, a Minister for Secondary Schools, a Minister for Universities, and so on. So they'll have little elements of the portfolio. And Wendy Morton, she's now in the Department of Transport. There's an upwards move for her. So anyway, Angela Rayner, she's the deputy leader of the Labour Party. She's led the charge against the Tories, saying that the First Lord of the Treasury, that really he's fiddling while Rome burns, though she didn't use that classical illusion, the kind of thing that Bojo would say, because he's a classicist, saying that he's distracted with these internal Tory squabbles and this pointless reorganisation instead of tackling the issues that Britain actually needs sorted out, about health and so on, nursing the economy back to health, getting us out of this pandemic situation. And she said it's about like reshuffling deck chairs on the Titanic as we're headed from the iceberg. All right. So anyway, Christopher Heaton Harris, surely the only qualified football referee on the Tory benches. There he is, and he used to quip that his email address was like, because it's C Heaton Harris, is cheat on Harris. Does he cheat? I don't know. So it was always a hard line. You're a skeptic, probably elated about Brexit. He is more important than you might realise, because he's got to maintain the allegiance of Conservative and Unionist MPs, which is going to be more and more of a headache for him. Now, people saying, oh, the knives are being sharpened, the Ides of March is coming up and all that. So Bojo, he's going to survive till May anyway, because the Prime Ministership at the moment appears to be a poison chalice. There's that rise in national insurance. Now remember, that is quite regressive because it starts from £0. The minute you earn £1, you're paying more in national insurance. It's not like tax, because tax only kicks in when you're above the personal allowance. Moreover, it's controlled by Westminster and is applicable to the United Kingdom in its entirety. So whereas a tax rise in England is disapplicable in the rest of the United Kingdom, and therefore it'll allow the SNP to say, oh, this is a Tory tax on us, and isn't it bad to be part of the union? So there are other things that could have been done to plug the financial gap, like a windfall tax on companies, which had a bonanza during lockdown. Delivery companies, Deliveroo or Amazon or whatever, or oil and gas companies made an awful lot of money from this spike in prices, but they've not done that. So it was quite short-sighted. This is a sort of rather digressive tax, as in it hits people more at the lower end of the income spectrum. All right. So it shouldn't, in usually circumstances, be difficult to keep the government afloat, considering it's got a fairly healthy majority. But Bojo's really shot himself in the foot. The other thing is, of course, the police report is going to come out into these parties. Now, they might fine Boris Johnson. Now, you can pay that fine and that's it, done. You get no criminal record. You can, of course, contest that fine, go to court, and if you lose, pay the fine, pay some sort of court surcharge, and you get a criminal record. I don't think Boris Johnson's going to go to jail, but that will really scupper plans for him, because, of course, the retirement plan is going to the speaking circuit, which is mainly in the United States, and he might not get a visa if he's got a criminal record. Also quite a recent one, even though it's for something trifling. I don't know how much they bend or, frankly, break the rules for someone of his stature, so he might get away with it. But people who are in the know say the embarrassment would be such, if he is fined by the police, that would he be pushed into resigning back then? I think you'd have to drag him out of Downing Street. I don't see him resigning. I think he'd say, no, you've got to have a leadership, you've got to have a vote of confidence. If he loses that, well, then he is out. Would it be less humiliating to fall on his sword? No, I think he would go down swinging, actually. Anyway, so Bojo is also in trouble because he suggested that Sir Keir Starmer did wrong when he was Director of Public Prosecutions for not having the Crown Prosecution Service prosecute Sir Jimmy Savile, who turned out to be a prolific paedophile. Of course, we didn't know that at the time in 2008. This is highly confidential information given to the police. Obviously, we know that now, since Jimmy Savile died in 2011. It's all come out in the wash. And Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, he was mobbed by aggressive protesters the other day. I don't know, threatening violence against him, but they were rather distressing and unedifying scenes. You might say, is that part of the rough and tumble of the fractious politics we live in? Perhaps, but is unpleasant. I'd rather people didn't do that. Yes, I know, I believe in vigorous free speech, but this was rather too raucous. I don't want anyone to feel physically menaced, because there was a sense of threat there, even if no one said they were actually going to harm him. All right, so that's the situation we are now. Another reason not to take over as the new Prime Minister right now is because the local elections are coming out. They're going to be ugly for the Conservative Party. With Boris, they're really ugly. If Boris was out now and a new Prime Minister now, they might be a bit of a honeymoon. The Conservatives would do a bit better. But presumably people say, oh, well, Rishi Sunak's on manoeuvres. He's going to leave it to those who are out of the way. If those results are dreadful for the Conservatives, then it's more likely that Boris will be defenestrated. Obviously, I don't rule out the chance that Boris will last 2024, but it's difficult to see him leading the Tory party into another parliamentary election. That's enough from me. Toodle pip.